Again, I'm going to be doing empath tips today. It kind of goes with the theme, with the energy. So give me a second to find the feed. Give me a second to share it. I want to talk a little bit about empath tactics that I've picked up along the way, and about what it means to be an empath. As soon as some people find me, I'll get started. I've been starting to go live in this Reiki group. You know, like once a week. I do my classes anyway, my extra lives. So I'm starting to go live in this space. I'm going to be talking about things like energy clearing, you know, energy type techniques and tips. So I want to talk a little bit about being an empath, because I see this label being used a lot. It was really such a part of my awakening that I realized that I was an empath. I look at it like these stages of consciousness I was going through. I've always been having this real crazy kind of spiritual experience, and I was figuring out that I was very energy sensitive at a certain point, that I was, you know, I already knew this anyway, but prior to running into the label, the empath, I figured out I was pretty energy sensitive anyway, because I was always the type that would be trying to avoid people and stay in my own space and in my own energy rather than like going out and interacting and things like that. So I kind of ran into this label myself. I was asleep in the Matrix and I was going through a pretty shit relationship. And I remember I was reading about the empath narcissist dynamics and things like that, and I remember being like, holy shit, when I was reading these articles, like, oh my god, right? Because, you know, at that place, a lot of people view that as a bad thing, that you're empathic and you're absorbing all these energies and people's feelings and emotions and things like that. This definitely is not a bad thing. It's really important that if you do identify with that label, the empath, that you're not viewing it from a victim type of perspective. These are abilities. And, you know, we don't just tune into these like Elenian type abilities or frequencies overnight. It's something that takes a lot of inner work. So, you know, we're still delving into these gifts and abilities when it comes to the spiritual. A lot of people are figuring out that they can feel energy, or it could be like you're picking up thoughts or vibrations from other people. I want to talk a little bit about my experience of how it was to be an empath child growing up in this matrix. A lot of the people that are using that empath label are the indigos, and we're highly sensitive to our environment. So what that looked like for me was, when I was a teenager, I was living with some people that were depressed, right? I was living with people that had heart chakra healing to do and were depressed, and I remember that I was feeling that, like it was my own feelings. I couldn't discern between what I feel and my own emotions and other people's. Early on in my journey, that I really didn't know that I had these abilities, and that I was doing a lot of absorbing other people's feelings and emotions being around me. So I've always been highly sensitive, and this is an ability that I kind of had to learn how to grow into on so many levels, that it took me a minute to grow into that and to be unlocking my gifts. What I found helped me, I'm going to give you guys some like empath tips that I use. Number one, make your house a sacred space. It's where you are most of the time usually. People spend a lot of time in their houses. It's really important that... Good morning, good, I got someone on here. We're talking about empath tips. I'm just kind of going to keep going and start talking. These are some tips that helped me and have helped me a lot. So I just covered, if you're an empath, you're always absorbing other people's energy, emotions. I could be around people that have really blocked up chakras, and I'll feel it. I will absorb it. It will light up my internal scanning, as I call it. And I will feel it as if it's mine. It's very important you guys are making your house a sacred space. We've been doing a lot of getting organized here, decluttering, cleaning, keeping our space real clean, right? You want your house to be a good reflection of your energy. So if empaths are living in environments that are real chaotic or low frequency, it'll really feel it. It can make people really sick too. So when things get like out of order where I'm living, or decluttered, right, if there's a lot of chaos around, it makes my energy chaotic. That we really absorb our environment as empaths. So make sure that your space is organized. It'll really help your energy and keeping you grounded. Number two, boundaries. I was just joking with my friend who also does groups this morning, and she's having real weird, like, crazy people making like fake Facebook accounts about her. And yeah, it's real crazy, right? I said, try doing videos for a job, right? This is outside of our comfort zone. She doesn't do videos, she just does these big posts. And it's really outside of our comfort zone to be doing these videos for me as an empath. It took so much, like, it still does for me to get up and do these videos, right? It's outside of what I want to do. I want to unplug and be by myself and things like that. So, you know, as an empath, we have to step outside our comfort zone too. But have boundaries with people. I found early on doing these videos and trying to do this job that I needed to have boundaries, that people were coming to me and they had no boundaries, whether it was like people pouring out their whole life stories and expecting me to do things. I had someone get very upset with me because I wouldn't like help her in a way she wanted with her lessons, and that's not my job as a healer, right? So I've had to set boundaries with people. Like if I don't feel like doing something, I say no, or direct them to my site or whatever, right? I had to have boundaries. I found I had the worst boundaries ever. As someone, when I was asleep, I was always a people pleaser. And I would always be like, if you came and asked me for something, I would always do it no matter what. And usually I didn't want to be doing these things. And I was always doing things I didn't want to be doing. So have healthy boundaries with people. A lot of people that are around us that are asleep or not at the same place, they don't have good boundaries, right? That goes for your space too. Be careful about who you're letting into your personal space, seriously, right? I always am weird about who I invite into my house, like like the vampires, right? Like the vampire movies, you have to invite people in, right? So I'm just weird about my space. Protect your space. Make it a sanctuary. Make it somewhere that you can rest and recharge. We like to have this house somewhere that's good for recharging, right? Let's see. I always go over a lot of these tips anyway. I talk about salt baths and your aura and your energy. Since we're empathic, we're like sponges. And that's the first step to becoming a healer, that we realize that we're an empath and that we can feel energy in some regard. So our aura is taking in a lot of these energies. It doesn't matter what energy type you are. You know, a lot of the souls that incarnated into this planet came with these abilities. Especially, you might be an indigo, I say, if you're an empath, right? If you identify with that label, because you're absorbing so much, you're highly sensitive. So we're taking in a lot of debris. Whether it's like you're grocery shopping or at your job, you're always just taking in those lower vibrations, whether it's pain, depression, right? Anxiety. Like we take in the lower frequencies and we're supposed to transmute it and turn them into love and light. That's our job, right? We're alchemists. Like I'm always taking in, people come to my inbox and they don't come to me with good things. They come to me with pain and things they need healed and they're having a hard time. And my job is to take in that energy and to transmute it and to send out good energy, right? So for me, I had to take a lot of salt baths. I just did like it's my morning ritual. I do them in the morning now. I was doing them at night, right? I just did my usual like hour to 2 hour salt bath, but that will help keep my energy nice and clear. A lot of people that are kind of just going through this awakening don't know how to clear their energy. So when I was in these toxic places, learning in the third dimension, right, it would make me sick to take in these energies and not clear your own energy. If you are an empath, you're really working your solar plexus in overdrive. That is really the seat of where we take in all these energies. So a lot of empaths will have stomach issues or kind of like might have had illnesses associated with that. Make sure you're taking care of your stomach if you're empathic. Make sure you're eating really high vibration food. You're going to have a more sensitive stomach than most people will. If you're empathic, you're going to be more sensitive to chemicals too in your food. So for me, I was eating a lot of GMO food when I was asleep. I said people don't know better a lot of the time in America. You just think food is food. Sleep, right? People don't know about this stuff. Yeah, so make sure that you guys are eating better food and taking better care of your own body. We're always feeling like helping other people before ourselves, but that's how we really have to learn about this self-love. Crystals are really good for empaths. I always say that crystals have a set vibrational frequency, and so they're really good for us because, you know, we're always all over the place vibrationally, so it's important that we're using crystals. Alright, so our thoughts and emotions are making up our aura or our energetic field, right? We have this aura, this energetic field around us. Our thoughts and emotions are making up our aura, right? It's always changing all the time. So if we're taking in other people's thoughts and emotions as empaths, it is going to change our energy field, right? It's going to have serious effects on us. So it's really important, if you're empathic, that you're not around like low vibe experiences, low vibe, negative relationship experiences, jobs that are toxic to you too. So, it's important as empaths that we're working somewhere that's a good space for us and that we're happy, or it can really have a bad effect on us. So it's really tricky when we're taking in other people's thoughts and emotions. They become our own energy. That's why if you have an empath narcissist type relationship, you become one energy when you're having sex with someone. So it's really important that we're avoiding those kind of experiences too, more than the average person. I'm loving the comments you guys are writing and suggestions. Yes, I know you guys are empaths. How do you cope with reality? Herbal teas, that's a really good way too. Getting good sleep too. Like I said, you want to take care of your own energy. It's really, really important. Hemp coffees, I love that. I am all for cannabis as a revolution. I think people should ditch the Monsanto now, and we could just shift over to like cannabis products for healing everything. Seriously, sage. I know, I'm half asleep still, right? I'm just waking up. It's early here. I just saged my whole house, expert level. I like to keep my space clean and sage though. And it really just is one way to move the energy in your house. Make sure you're using incense, sage, making your house like a sacred space. Getting rid of clutter. We'll go back to the house real quick. Get rid of clutter in your house too. Things you're not using. It'll really pollute your energy in your house and in your energy field. Lots of water. We're empathic, so we're taking in energy all day long. Water is an energy conductor. I'm drinking so much water here, it's kind of disgusting. We might need to get some kind of permanent water filter here with the way we're going through bottled water, I'm thinking, right? With the way that we're buying bottled water, I don't know. Things to think about. But you want to make sure that you have fresh water, good water. Definitely don't be drinking tap water. I have concerns about a lot of, these kind of things, as you know. So make sure you're drinking good water and tons of it. I was always very ungrounded going through the matrix asleep. Ungrounded. Like, I know I am now, but I mean, this is like next level ungrounded, right? And then I was always drawing these chaotic experiences to me, because when your energy is chaotic, you draw the crazy stuff to you like a whirlwind, right? So as an empath, you want to stay grounded, right? We're oftentimes in the third eye a lot too with our abilities, because I think that empathic label goes a little deeper, and that these are the healers and the indigos and the star seeds, right, with these abilities that we're just unlocking. So stay grounded, connect with the earth. It's really important that we're connecting with the earth while the planet is doing, Gaia is doing her ascension too. So staying grounded helps put us on those frequencies. It helps bring the energy down to the lower chakras as well. So for me, I'm always in my upper chakras and in space, and when I ground, it's really good for me centering my lower chakras, because we need to build solid with a solid foundation. Let's see. I know, I'm trying to think now. I'm doing Empath 101 stuff again, and I like it. So we'll be talking about empath stuff this week, techniques. It's a lot of what I'm going over anyway. All right, detox. All right, so like I said, empaths are extra sensitive to chemicals. So, I know it's normal that we just get filled full of metals nowadays, right? Like going through this matrix, it seems to be normal around here. But empaths are going to be really sensitive to that. Like I said, that I was more susceptible to heavy metal toxicity than most. So it's really important that we're detoxing. You guys know that I'm huge on chlorella for detoxing. I think it removes the metals, helps your third eye, helps your DNA. It's like so good for everything we're doing for ascension. So for sure, more detoxing too. We're always detoxing here. Eat foods that detox you too. More herbs. More foods, right? Where we are what we're putting in our body too. So we have these three components. The physical, the body, the mental, right, the mind, and we have the soul or the spirit, and we have these three components. The physical is going to have a huge impact on our vibration, just like our thoughts. So eat more herbs. We're always, like I saw Cam commented, honey. Yeah, we're always drinking eating tons of honey and herbs and real good foods for you. Start to eat better food too. It's going to have such an impact on your energy, like clean living, clean eating. I think that meat is really bad for empaths too. I don't want to so much get into this. I know everyone has their own experience, okay? I'm not trying to make everyone like me, but because we are very emotionally sensitive, and that we're sensitive to other emotions and things like that. When we eat meat, it has an effect on our third eye, which regulates our moods. So I see a lot of empaths have gotten that label like bipolar, or a lot of like psychiatric kind of labels too. Like if you go to a doctor, they'll be like, oh, you're bipolar, right? Or whatever their labels are. All right, well, it can influence your moods. If you're an empath and you're eating meat, or anyone eating meat, it can affect your moods and give you more mood swings or ups and downs. And the goal is to reach samadhi, bliss, enlightenment. So if you get rid of meat, it will help regulate your third eye and keep it, at a better, more stable moods and things like that. So be more careful with what you're putting in your body. I think that taking in the energy of that kind of food is not good for us, especially as empaths. You wouldn't believe how when I quit eating meat, how overnight my energy and frequency started to change. It was already pretty awesome, right? But overnight, I really just kind of leveled up energetically, and you could tell with the shifts that I went through in my life. So, try to pay attention to what you're eating. More fruits, too. We don't eat enough fruits around here. I can tell, or everyone wouldn't have cancer. All right. I have a huge focus on DNA this week, too. Things like stress, I know, I had to throw it in here, too. Things like stress, traumas, bad foods, they're really bad for our DNA. So make sure that you guys are like eating more fruit. That's good for your DNA, right? Because we have a lot of like DNA being broken down and reprogrammed around here. Things like fruit, more vegetables, more water, really good for your DNA. So we see that when what happens is people's DNA is breaking down from the energies around here, and that's causing cancers, that's causing heart diseases, it's causing a lot of this stuff around here. So for sure, pay attention to your foods. Be careful who you're sleeping with. You're more sensitive than most, so, you have to be careful that you're doing a good energy exchange. Don't ever sleep with someone you wouldn't want to be energetically. And as, the empaths, we're always trying to fix and heal everyone and, see the good in everyone. But be careful now with your energy. This is ascension, and it's kind of like crunch time with what we're doing. Let me see. So, I like to isolate. Yes, people are like, oh, do you want to go hang out? And I'm like, no, I'm busy. I have to work, right? I like to spend more time isolating. I'm more careful about what I'm doing out in the matrix, too. I like to stay in my little Elenian temple over here, doing my work if possible, right? I like to stay in my Elenian temple space doing my work. So I'm very careful about going out into the matrix unnecessarily. I find it can be very draining to be taking on a lot of those energies at the frequency I'm at. So I try to avoid, like, a lot of the matrix and try to, consolidate my time, do stuff like all at once, right? Do all my errands in one day so I don't have to go in the matrix as much. I've created a job where I can work at home now, so it's not as awful as me. I did a lot of jobs, and I was in the service industry a lot, like bartending and waitressing, and I would be around a lot of people. If you're an empath, you probably want to avoid working in service kind of jobs where you're coming in contact with tons of people. So for me, that was huge in my energy because I'm able to, vibrate on my own frequencies here. So like I said, if you guys have toxic jobs, toxic family members, get rid of these exchanges. Those are our lessons to love ourselves enough to, give the people the space that they need around us to learn. Not everyone's at the same place as us, as you know. We're on this spiritual quest. And you know what? Not everyone's going to understand your journey. I had to say that about me at Stonehenge before I got ready to make this big shift. I said, I was saying to my boyfriend, no one will be able to understand that, and that's okay. To understand this, and that's okay. No one can understand my journey, I'm sure. That's okay. From looking out from the outside, they probably won't get what I'm doing with my mission and my journey, and same for you guys. So not everyone's going to understand where you're at spiritually, and, we drew a lot of really crazy karma to us coming into this experience. Yes, we needed the traumas. We needed the pain to wake us up and to shape us into who we are now, which is hopefully very empathic and compassionate. How do we become empathic? I think you go through this process of, coming to compassion with your heart chakra, where, first you feel bad for yourself and you do that victim perspective, and then you're able to feel bad for others that are going through the same kind of experiences that you had. This is really to open us up to more love and more compassion. Suddenly we're talking like it's a superpower to be empathic in this world. Why? Well, for the first time in a long time, these indigo souls started incarnating onto this planet. And it's a dead world. Everyone's asleep, cut off spiritually. And suddenly you have, I said we were children once, all these children hitting the planet with these indigo type abilities. And, you know, we're meant to open people up to love and compassion, like unconditional love, compassion, empathy, those kind of things. And these are traits that have been drilled out of people. When you go to school, you learn how to compete and become competitive. And, you know, that kind of empathy and compassion is almost drilled out of you when you're going through this indoctrination. It's always been, you know, it's been an ability. Like, we have to be able to feel people to heal people. You have to be able to feel things. I'm talking about how they like to cut off people emotionally through the indoctrination, because then we can't feel the spiritual. For me, I feel everything. I feel energy. I feel the unseen, right? And so we really had to feel a lot of the spiritual. If people can't feel anything, then they're going to be cut off from the spiritual. So we see a lot of things to cut us off from how we feel, like going around the matrix, like pharmaceuticals, depressants, anxiety medicine everywhere. So I was someone who was I was always given a lot of anxiety medicine too. I used to have a lot of anxiety going through the matrix. And now I understand that I was just picking up energies, and it was my internal scanning lighting up from being around some of these low-vibe situations. I don't know why I always have this anxiety. If you're someone who has had anxiety in the past or has anxiety as an empath, that is not your own. That is stuff that you're picking up, and it's your body's way of telling you that this probably isn't a good situation, or you shouldn't be around it, or it's just a low frequency. It's very important as an empath too that we can discern what's our own energy and other people's. Okay, I do these videos. So for me, I wake up in the morning, I have to set my own frequency. I'm always saying this. I have to set my own frequency before I go deal with people. If you're an empath and before you start your day, make sure you're setting your own vibe. Like, you know how your energy feels, right? And you're on your own frequency. Because what I would do is I would always go to everyone else's frequency and absorb their energy. So I know that as an empath, I have to set my own frequency and kind of stand tall in it, right? Stay in that frequency and not absorb everyone else's. So make sure you're setting your own frequency before you go out into the matrix or something, or go to work. If you're an empath, you're a healer. It's how we realize that we're healers. We're feeling energy. And I feel like everyone's soul leads you on this journey to enlightenment, that we're naturally going back to source. And I know everyone's at different levels, and it doesn't matter. That your soul's natural journey is going to be to awaken and to shift to service. It's just what you do at a certain level of consciousness, that you're going to want to help the collective. You're going to want to serve in some type of way. And that these are healing abilities. And the thing is that we can't just get back to where we're headed overnight. It would like short circuit us energetically. So this is a gradual process, this ascension you're noticing, right? We're coming into our abilities and we're getting more and more tuned in, but it is a gradual process, this recalibration. So, you know, everyone's at different levels, but if you identify with that empath label, you are meant to be a healer. It's who you are. You're feeling energy. You're picking up on things. A lot of empaths will be very telepathically tuned in, and tuned into things like telekinesis. You know, a lot of the times you're picking up on thoughts and frequencies and how people are feeling and things like that. Be extra careful with your thoughts. If you are an empath, you're very powerful. I know they want you to think you're the victim and, you know, the narcissist love bite and oh my god, right? But you are powerful. And so you need to be more careful with your thoughts, because our thoughts are creating realities around here every day, whether we're aware of it or not, right? So be more careful with your thoughts, because you're very powerful energetically too, on some level. I'm trying to think what else. Where are you guys at? I know, where are you guys at with life? I know you guys are these empaths, right? We're going to be talking about empath topics again this week, because it's really helpful for people, because a lot of people will realize they're the empath, but they maybe haven't woken up yet, or are just beginning to. I felt like I went through that. You know, oh my god, I'm the empath, and I guess I'm just going to have shit relationships forever kind of phase coming to my awakening real rapidly. So, you know, at least when you're figuring out you're empathic, then you're figuring out that you're energy sensitive, and you're learning about energy. Yeah, be proud of it. It is a superpower. You're a badass if you're an empath. Don't let them trick you into, because they have made the narcissist label a psychiatric condition, and I'm not sure about the empath label, probably too, right? I see it merges with their science, because they want you to think, oh my god, I'm the victim, right? I got this person, oh my god, the narcissist, and I'm the empath. And a lot of times, yes, we've drawn those kind of relationships where people tend to be. It's a balancing. So what is the narcissist? Someone with zero empathy. Trust me, they will fake it, but they don't have any empathy or compassion, you'll find, if you ever dated someone like that. So empath, narcissist, polar opposite. Well, the empath generally, when they go into those kind of relationships, has zero boundaries. Like, think people pleaser, right? Trying to heal and fix everyone, doesn't care if it's destroying them, right? Needs more self-love. And so obviously the narcissist has tons of self-love, right? So this is an energetic exchange and balancing. It isn't to torture us. A lot of the times these empaths, right, go through these relationships and they come out of it like they're never going to do that again. Boundaries, saying no. So, it's part of the process. Yeah, we need to be teaching Energy 101 and Chakra 101. People are going to realize that everyone's at different levels. I tend to just be getting on camera and putting the things I download on camera, and I'm kind of at an adept place in my journey with the stuff that I'm into and what I'm downloading, and I have a very hard time translating my spiritual journey into more basic kind of teachings and things like that, if you know me. So it's definitely needed. A lot of you guys are going to be the people to go do that on my videos. That's how I look at it with the people that come to me and that find me and around me. A lot of you guys are going to be those teachers and those leaders. So it's really important to understand that these people with empathy have amazing abilities. All right, if you're drawing these toxic type of relationships to you, more self-love, right? My relationships are always shifting too, but I found that, just working on self-love is really important, because then you're going to get it reflected back everywhere. If you do this stuff that we're always talking about, like detoxing, working on your energy, it is going to be powerful in changing your energy, and you're going to change everything about it. Like my journey itself is just mind-blowing. I just go with the flow, and who knows where I'll be tomorrow, right? I gotta just go with the flow of my mission, but it's always been crazy that I could go from where I was at in my story to here and go voyaging around the world and doing this mission of service. It's really crazy. All right, one thing I forgot, Reiki is really good for empaths. Why? Well, it led me to empowerment, right? It led me to looking at those abilities like, oh God, at one point I looked at them like they were a negative thing. Like years and years ago, I would be at home and away from everyone, and I looked at it like it was negative. Like, I'm going out to the source and I'm absorbing all this negative energy, and it didn't really feel like an ability at that time. We had to kind of grow into these gifts. And so Reiki, either, learning how to take care of your energy, or, using it for, some people use it for a job or whatever, is very empowering to you as an empath, because I'm always having to cut my cords and be aware of my own chakras and make sure my own energy is good. I'm coming in contact with a lot of people. So Reiki has been life-changing for me in learning how to cut my cords, protect myself, make sure that you guys are putting yourselves in white light. Before you go out into the matrix, make sure that you're using the violet flame. The chlorella is really good for clearing your third eye out, but it pulls any metals out of your body. And we all had a lot of metal exposure, whether it's like aluminum in our food, right? Chemtrails, I don't know. The soil just could be contaminated. If we look at the water everywhere in the U.S. especially, there's a lot of toxins in it. So it'll really help detox you. It helps with the activation process too, since we're going through this ascension and we're kind of getting activated on a cellular level. So it's really powerful. It also is recommended for people that take it will never get cancer, right? Because it's going to clear your liver out, and so you're just going to be way healthier overall. Your frequency will go up taking it so much. That's why I always have tons of energy. When I was asleep, it was always zero energy, right? Now I have infinite energy sources, and I'm connected to source, so it's really, really important. If you are an empath and you're low in energy like that, you need to connect back to source. We get disconnected. And as empaths, we're supposed to derive a lot of our energy and power from that connection with source we have. So if we get disconnected, it can really screw us as empaths. Make sure you guys are connecting more, to source, God, whatever you call it. All right, for sure. Get some vitamins. It's like everything that I'm like, I was joking with my boyfriend. I said, I think a lot of people will get sent to me so I can detox them. Like, go get your chlorella and turmeric and now you're good, right? So a lot of people do find me for that regard, but it'll help you so much with your energy. It's just really good taking care of yourself too, right? I'm like, oh my God. No, taking the vitamins helps so much. When I'm off of them, I always feel like crap. Like I can notice a noticeable difference when I come off of them and I'm not taking them every day. So they'll help so much. If you're an empath, get some vitamin B. I have it on the vitamin list because, you know, we're energy workers and we want to be like in bliss and euphoria and that feel good kind of high feeling. So make sure that you're getting lots of vitamin B into you. That helps regulate your nervous system. And since we're taking in energy all around, I found it helps so much. Akashic record. The Akashic is an energy all around us. So if you're an empath, these are the things that you're getting into. Getting led to, right? Like the Akashic would be an energy. I used to picture, I always say this like a library, and I could get access and go dig around. It's not quite like that. It's an energy. It's an energetic field all around us. And a lot of you guys are accessing that in the form of downloads. It could just be like, you might perceive it as thoughts, ideas, right, coming to you. A lot of people are getting a lot of downloads. You are able to access that energy when you're ready. Put out the intent that you can access the Akashic records more. Put out the intent to be activated more. I asked my boyfriend, I was like, do you pray? I was like, well, pray and ask, because he wants his past life memories back, and I'm talking to him about it. I said, pray and ask. Ask and you shall receive, right? So if you guys are trying to get into more and more abilities, ask. Pray to God. Ask. Right? Ask and you shall receive. So our intent is powerful. For sure. So definitely have an intent to get more into your abilities. I wanted my past life knowing back, and I kind of got it back. I kept on putting out that intent and doing activations on myself for the past life memory retrieval, and just have the intent. Put it out there. If you pray to God. Ask for more abilities, and we're coming into them slowly. That's the thing with this process. We have a lot of crazy wind out there. I got the window open. So the energy's feeling real crazy here, right? I'm like, the energy's feeling crazy and crazy things are happening on the planet. I said all the scientists are scrambling. NASA's now talking about solar events and flashes. And we have things happening. We're in a geostorm. And I said, we've been like in a nonstop geostorm since January. No one seems to notice, right? Scientifically. But you know, modern science doesn't really explain a lot of the spiritual things that are happening. But the energetic dynamics are changing. A lot of you guys might be geostorm sensitive like me, where I'm feeling the energy, right? I'm running around like feeling great. I cleaned my whole house. I'm doing my office work. I'm running around. Here I am, right? I get a high off of that as an empath, that crazy natural energy. We're going to go outside to the ley lines. But a lot of people might feel it and feel not so good when we're having the lows in the energy. Yesterday, I saw that we had a real dip in the energy. And naturally, because I'm energy sensitive, my body's tuned into these energies. I was sleeping. I took like a 5-hour nap yesterday. I never nap, right? And so sometimes, you know, we're feeling the cosmic energies deeply, and they can affect, you know, our energy when we're flowing. That's why I try to learn the energy cycles. I'm like, I'm feeling great today. I knew that. So then I'm rested up and I can use that energy and feel real good with it. So for me, I'm trying to learn the energy cycles because I'm figuring out that they really affect me. Same with the moons. I know we have a new moon today. I keep forgetting. We have a new moon today in Gemini. So stay focused on, this is good, this is positive, on feeding yourself with positive things, right? A lot of people that are empaths are watching negative television and things like that, not understanding it becomes our programming. So I see a lot of people are waking up and watching live Facebook feeds on spiritual stuff, and that's amazing. Keep feeding yourself spiritual things. Stay focused on manifesting. If you're an empath, you might be very lunar sensitive too. That we're getting ready for a crazy energy for the spring solstice. And a lot of empaths can really feel the moon cycles or the geostorms. All right, I'm getting off of here. Hi, Jamie. It's good to see you guys. I'm going to go do a real video, but it's pretty crazy energy. Stay focused on manifesting. With the new moon, we want to plant our intent, and it will come back to us with the full moon in 2 weeks. And with the full moon, we're going to be doing the solstice. I'm going to Stonehenge, and I'm really excited about it. I'm going to be doing something different here, too. I think I'm doing Atlantean initiations that I have up. Like, it's a little course, and then I initiate. You do Atlantean frequencies. And I think I'm going to do that there. I'm still like getting ideas of what I'm doing, but it's going to be really crazy. I've never been in the summertime, and I'm going to film the whole thing if you know me. And it's taken me a minute to get there. Like I've been to the rocks. This will be my 4th trip. And I've been kind of trying to do videos and feel it out. And this is like the one where I'm ready to go do some big videos there. And it will be like extra crazy. So I'm really, really excited to go be able to channel that energy out on video. Like I was talking to someone about it this morning. And I was saying that even I'm surprised because I channel energy out. Like right now I'm sending energy while I talk. And so me going and doing videos there, you can feel it so crazy even through the video. And every time I've done that trip, I go like, I've noticed that it lights our group areas on fire, that everyone gets kind of high off the energy just from the posts and the videos. So it's really awesome to be part of that, and I'm real excited. Yeah, throw your TV in the bin. I told my boyfriend, his kids are standing real close to the TV, and I am like, television is like taking spray paint to your third eye. So for sure, be careful about watching television. Try to unplug. Try to watch more spiritual live feeds or something. Replace the TV. I don't watch TV ever. I can't do it unless it's the Disney movies we're watching with the kids here. I just can't do it. I don't know. It's just stuff we're putting into our subconscious. A lot of garbage a lot of the time. I'm trying to get a grip on my mind. This is me. It's a process, right? It's been a few-year process. I'm trying to get a grip on my mind. I'm trying to make my mind like a supercomputer where I can just be focused on what I'm trying to manifest. So for me, if I'm watching like television or unnecessary garbage, I'm just loading my subconscious with a lot of garbage. So be careful about what you're putting into your mind. We could be watching a violent television show and your mind can't perceive it like not real. It's the problem with television. So you're watching violence and we're getting desensitized to it and like it's normal in a lot of regards with television. So number one, make sure you're careful about your friends and who you're around. Yeah, toxic family members, hang out with them, your energy becomes them. Because, you know, we're taking in their thoughts and emotions and feelings and it's becoming our energy field. So get rid of the toxic people. Spend more time alone recharging. Empaths need a lot of alone time to recharge, like on so many levels. So spend more time alone. Make sure your house is a sanctuary and good energy. Whether it's just rearranging things, getting rid of trash, lighting lots of sage. We like to say our house is our ashram over here. Make your house an ashram, a spiritual, temple type place. Let's see. Get rid of the garbage foods. Get rid of the booze. I didn't even go there. Things like alcohol, real bad for empaths. I had to be careful not to drink ever because it's just not. I just pretty much get like a third eye headache from it, right? It's not really good. Like I said, empaths are more chemical sensitive. Try to avoid alcohol, drugs, even pharmaceuticals can have such an impact on your energy. If you're on pharmaceuticals, try to replace them with weed. I think Gretchen sells weed, CBD stuff, right? There's a lot of people that are suddenly getting into selling cannabis kind of products. If you are someone who's on pharmaceuticals, you need to get off of them and you need to probably replace them with weed if that's what it takes to do it. I found that was really helpful. I was on so many pharmaceuticals when I woke up, just thinking they healed me, not understanding that they were, destroying my energy and my body. So it's really important that we're not putting pharmaceuticals in to us. Unfortunately, a lot of these empaths have gotten lost in the mental health systems and have been labeled with things like mood disorders, popular, right? Things like ADHD, mood disorders, all sorts of labels, and then medications are being dispensed. And I feel that the psychological guidelines are kind of targeting people with certain abilities, that you go to a doctor and they look up your symptoms and they're like, oh, you need this medicine, something is wrong with you. But these are abilities and, being suppressed through these medications. So make sure that you're getting rid of the toxins, eating cleaner food. You can see that from day one of my journey, it's just been to get on video and be like, this stuff works. Like, in comparison, to a few years ago, I'm living my dream life because I'm happy, I'm sovereign, right? I found states of bliss, I'm happy, I'm doing what I love. And so, if you stay on this spiritual path, it will transform everything about your life. This is all temporary, I'm always saying. It's going to lead us somewhere mind-blowing and amazing, living our own dream lives. So stay detoxing, stay positive.